So, well, welcome to the podcast, Barb. I can't believe it's taken this long to get you on here.
I like to be behind the scenes.
This is true. This is true. So, Barb, you joined the staff at GPA in July of 2010 and are now the second longest serving member of the staff, which is amazing. And if you've involved with GPA at any point in time, I feel like you've met Barb Boggs, right?
Or emailed with her.
Yes, communicated in some way, shape, or form.
Very true.
So you've seen this organization grow in terms of membership and offerings over the years, and one of the biggest events is obviously our annual conference, which has been rebranded GrantSummit.
And we're here. And so if you're
We
listening later
are.
and you're hearing people talk in the background, it's okay. We know that.
Yeah.
It's a big old exhibit hall, and that's cool.
That is true. So my question is, as the events and governance manager, basically the individual behind making all of the magic happen here, and very beautifully, I may add, we'd love a quick rundown of how early you start planning and basically what all it takes. Because we just show up and it's a great 2.5 days, but I'm guessing it's not as easy as that.
Not quite that easy. Yes. Typically, we start about 4 years in advance working
4
on an
years.
event. So it's 2024. We just booked our 2028 contract for GrantSummit.
Gotcha.
Because we've gotten so large, in order to stay in a hotel and not have to go to a conference center, which we're trying to avoid because it's more intimate to be in the same
Yes.
space in the hotel, staying with everybody, we are limited on places we can go.
Yeah.
So we have to start planning about 4 years in advance now.
Okay. Wow.
But for the actual year that we're working on, so 2024 is about to wrap up. Next week, I will officially wrap up 24, and then we will move right into planning for 2025, which is in Baltimore next year.
And it's in November.
It's in
October, November?
It's the end of October, 1st of November
Okay.
next year.
So you're
Basically the
starting
same
a
weeks.
whole year in advance for the next year's.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. We start planning out. We get our contracts together with all of our vendors who are going to come, especially like our AV team. If we're bringing in the hybrid option again, we have to figure out what our event platform is going to look like and how that's going to work. If we need to bring on extra teams for that, so it is a collaborative effort between a lot of us to get all of it pulled together.
Yeah.
We make multiple trips, so we'll start our first trip probably in February or March to go out there, walk the space again, make sure we know what the layout's going to look like, so that when we start planning the sessions, which rooms are going to work best to have interactive sessions in, which rooms are going to work best to be more of a lecture style
Sure.
section.
Yeah.
For the hybrid option, which rooms have the better sound quality,
Yeah.
so that the online audience can hear everything that goes into it.
That's true.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah.
So I do a majority of the work, but the full team at GPA helps. Kelly runs our exhibitors. Aaron does a lot with the sessions now, the speakers, which we start our call for presenters in January.
Yeah.
So it is a
That's true,
year-long
that's true.
process to get through it all.
Yeah. I think the thing that I had never even thought about, I mean, obviously you've got to feed people, right?
Yes. Yeah.
But I think the thing that amazed me the most was the first time you had, I think on Facebook, because we're Facebook friends, you had commented on, you didn't share anybody's personal information. You just had a spreadsheet that showed the number of people for all the different dietary restrictions. And if you don't think about it, you're like, okay, yeah, well, we got vegetarian, vegan, gluten-free, and maybe an allergy. But
Yeah.
I was in awe, first of all, of how many different things you have to
I don't
be
think I
mindful
knew
of.
that. I mean, I knew about as a vegetarian,
Yes.
mostly vegan.
Yeah.
I'm like appreciative, but I didn't realize. I thought it was like that and maybe some allergies. And I'm thinking now I'm learning. No.
It's a lot of
No,
things.
I would
It's a
say a
host
third
of-
of our people have some sort of dietary allergy, dietary
preference.
preference,
Okay.
like
Yeah.
vegetarian or vegan, but there are a lot of allergies too.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So one of them being, the biggest one that surprised me was the chicken allergy.
Yeah. I was shocked. I've never heard of that.
That one
Yeah.
surprised me, and we serve a lot of chicken because
'Cause
most people eat
eat
chicken,
chicken.
and
Yes.
it's
Affordable.
an easy,
Yes.
affordable option.
Uh-huh.
So appealing to the masses
Yes.
is difficult, but we try and do a lot of build your own stuff for that reason. So like yesterday we had taco baller. You could build your own tacos.
Yes.
So it's a little easier, and especially for people like who have a dairy allergy, then they don't have to pick up the cheese. They
Yes.
don't have to do.
Yeah.
So
That's
make it a
true.
little bit easier to do.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's just one thing. I mean, you're right. It's the room figuring out which not only I think it's hard to figuring out like, okay, this is a good room for a hybrid session, but also trying to gauge, is this going to be a
Numbers.
popular one?
Yes.
Should it be in the big room or should it be in a small room because it's not as the topic isn't as
as appealing.
pressing, right?
Yeah. Or, it's a more, like I was saying, like public
Nuanced.
safety. So it's a more nuanced session where not as many people are going to attend. So you're like, okay, we could put it in that room.
Yeah.
But then it surprises us when we get on site. So we think we have it all planned out. It's going to be great. And then you walk into your room and you're like, oh, we have people spilling into the hall. And so you're like, okay, after this session, we're going to change the setup in this room. And, so there's a lot of on the fly when we get on site too.
Yeah.
And
I have a question.
Go.
yeah.
So you're so good at this, and you've been doing it a long time. So you must like it.
I do like it.
Because
yes.
it's giving me a little like vicarious stress just to hear this. It's like, because that's like, and we're going to change these rooms around, and we're going to come in, because I'm
and
more of a
AVT
planner girl.
AV truck broke down, so it's late, so we're just going to deal with it. And you just did it all with a smile
You're like,
on your
oh, there's
face.
this thing that's going on. But so what about just sort of the managing logistics? Is
Oh,
that
I
what
love
gets
logistics.
okay?
Yeah. So I'm
Figuring
a
things out?
teacher by trade. That's what I
Okay.
went to school to be, was a math.
Okay.
I was a math
okay.
teacher.
Oh, okay.
It's all coming on
it's all
to place.
coming back.
And middle school math. So
Oh, bless you.
She's doing the Lord's work. My husband teaches, and some of his students are middle school. and
Okay.
I would think that he would say that that's a
a hard
challenging
age.
time.
Yes, I love middle schoolers though. They're sweet enough. They still kind of care what you think, but they're old enough you can talk to them like humans.
I think your mileage may vary, but I totally get where you're coming
Yes.
from.
Yeah.
Yes.
I love logistics, so I love figuring out like how you can fit so many people in, how you can make everything work.
Wow.
And one of the things what I really love about working for GPA itself is the family atmosphere. Everybody enjoys being together, and so that's
Yes.
what makes it so much easier for us to do our job, because we know people want to be together. So what can we do to make it easier for you guys?
Yes.
And make it easier for you to find each other and to connect and doing all of that. And that's one of the reasons we still do the virtual component for GrantSummit, is because we know people
think
can't
that's
travel.
smart. I think
Yes.
that's really smart.
And so it's another way for them to be able to connect even though they can't be here with all
person.
of us.
Yeah.
I know there's a lot that goes into that decision, but I've heard several of our colleagues are like, we just don't have the budget, so we're going to do this. They prefer to be in person, but it's nice to have that option.
Well, and that's one of the reasons we also, for GrantSummit, move it around the country. So this year we're in Denver, next year we're in Baltimore, and then we go to San Antonio, Phoenix,
Yeah.
then New Orleans. So we really try to move, because we also know, like, when we're on the East Coast, it's really hard for those on the West to come all the
Yeah.
way.
Flights are going to be more expensive.
Flights are
and the
more
time.
expensive. You have
Yeah.
to spend perhaps an extra day at the hotel, which is extra money. And so to be able to say, well, we'll be in your neck of the woods in a couple years, but in the meantime, you can at least join us virtually.
Yeah.
It's another option.
That's lovely. Well, I must say, from the get-go, one of my favorite things when I first found GPA and started attending conferences and joining the chapter was the staff has always been so lovely and so kind and so there for us. That's
Yeah.
one of my favorite things about GPA. So I just want to say thank you for loving on us like you do.
Your
Love our
membership
jobs.
dollars at work.
Right here.
Right here, Barb Boggs,
is.
ladies and gentlemen. So I know that you have to jet off to solve some sort of thing or some logistical thing that would make me just want to go lie down.
Probably.
And thank you for being you.
It was
Happy
great having
to
you,
do it.
Barb.